team at Keller Williams. We have been having a lot of fun over here dealing with some technical issues, which hopefully we have resolved. Hey, I don't know how long I've been talking. We've been having a lot of technical problems over here, but welcome to our first remote Ask the Agent. I am waiting for our other co-host to join in on our live feed. So when George Pottencool gets here, we will get the ball rolling. We apologize for being late today. It's been an interesting setup. I'm just getting some of my questions ready to go over here. Now that looks like we got 7 people out there. Welcome everybody. Any questions you have, please pop them in along. We do our best to cover not only what we have kind of prepared as things that we know people have been asking a lot about out there, but also what the general market summary is, and then also be able to hit on the questions that have been coming in as we go on. So sorry if I'm stumbling a little bit, everybody. Just give us about a few minutes and we will get George looped in here, and I will take a look at what we have so far. So let's see. Where is George? Okay, give me a second. Got 14 people. That's fantastic. I am looking. I don't see any comments yet. So if you guys want to start commenting, and I'll keep track of these posts as we go along. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. So I kind of forewarned everybody that we would be going on, hour 5 of Zoom calls for today. And certainly there might be some stumbles that happened, and it definitely looks like that is happening for us. So I apologize, but we'll get everything up and running here. Never fear. I cannot get George added in. So you guys might be stuck with me for today, unfortunately. Let's see. Well, all right, well, let's just get right into it. I don't know what is going on with all of our technology right now, but I want to not keep anybody else waiting any longer than needed. So I really apologize for that. George, I'm going to monitor the comments, and if you can get somebody on the Welch team side to kind of help loop you back in, then that would be great. I apologize that we are not both together right now. So a lot of questions that we've been getting right now obviously have to do with COVID. Everybody always asks, what's going on with real estate? Are you working? Are people out there? Are they looking at property? And yes, yes, they are. We have been very safe. And I know there are questions about how are we taking care of each other and the health of our customers while we try to keep the industry moving forward. And there are very stringent protocols that are put in place to help us show those properties are equipped with, Clorox wipes, masks, gloves, as is our customers. A lot of our sellers are following a pretty strict regimen as well in terms of how do we conduct those showings. And those showings are occurring, virtually. Some of those showings are occurring in person. Some of those showings are being hosted live Matterport. So I don't know if you guys have been able to tune into any of our live virtual open houses, but you'll see that we're using a variety of methods to walk people through those homes. And if not, definitely go check that out when you can. We have another upcoming one on Friday. So check our events page for that. So showings are still happening. And I was going to show you guys a nice, pretty fancy chart of what has happened to showings over the last month in our Northeast Florida marketplace. And, as to be expected, when we started, all of our stay-at-home measures, our showings really dropped off over about 40% over the last 4 weeks. The good news is that those showings have started to come back up just this week. So last weekend rolling into this week. I'm sure that we could attribute that to some of the, Governor DeSantis and our, Lenny Curry here in North Florida and the Beaches mayors starting to relax a little bit of those guidelines, with appropriate social distancing. People have been able to get out, go to the parks, go to the beaches. We're starting to talk a little bit more about opening up businesses. What does that look like on May 1 or May 15? So as those things have started to occur, we have seen a little bit more confidence return to our market. Regarding, our increase in showings this week, I want to touch on commercial real estate as well. So commercial had completely just kind of died off, and that started happening actually back in February. Over the last several days, really the last, Monday and into Tuesday, we've seen commercial showings come back around. There's an interesting Metro study done for commercial, more in the Orlando marketplace as far as I could drill down into that data. But a lot of commercial real estate, you might drive by, you might see a build out or a commercial building that's for lease, and a lot of incoming phone calls happen that way. Well, of course, when we have less people out driving around, there are less of those calls being made. And there has been, at least in the Orlando market, an uptick in that type of commercial activity, more phone calls happening, more incoming inquiries. So overall, that's a great indicator for the Florida market. I talked to you guys briefly that we saw a decline in showings around 40%. We are starting to go back up. We also have had a decline in new listings hit the market, which hasn't necessarily been a bad thing. The health of our local market has been very much one of lack of supply. So we went into COVID with very low housing supply, and we are still, on a low point of properties on the market for sale. So for sellers out there that have been, wondering, is this a good time for me to put my home on the market? Is it safe to put my home on the market? We obviously encourage everybody to take a look at their personal situation first and foremost and what they are comfortable with. But there are safe ways, as I mentioned, to show your property. And there are people out there that are looking. I'm going to transition a little bit into our, who's out looking in our economy, in our local Northeast Florida market. We have a lot of industry that relies upon, finance, construction, healthcare, military. These are all very job secure sectors right now. Construction accounts for, new construction starts are up again, which is a great stat. We're just listening to another a briefing by the Builders Association. So construction starts are up again, and anytime you have new construction starts happening, those are job creators and economic drivers. So those are all positive things for our market. Let me see. Instead of me just rambling here, I'm going to take a look at some questions. Are credit requirements getting changed due to COVID? So that's an excellent question. Thank you, Tyree. So we have, this is something that I always say, we're going to refer you back to a lender to give you the most accurate information regarding that. However, we have seen a little bit of a tightening of lender requirements. The lender requirements have been tightened due to a variety of reasons. And again, we will absolutely refer you to those specific lenders for your specific questions. But credit scores have been something that everyone is keeping a close eye on. Debt to income ratio is also a big, qualifier for a buyer. Employment verifications has gotten tricky. What happens if you can't get a hold of your employer to verify that, even though the business might be shut down right now, your job is still there and it is secure and you are able to come back once our local economy has been opened back up. So there are challenges right now with financing, but they are surmountable challenges. We have some great lender partners that are able to walk us through some of those scenarios that might be specific to you. Every buyer is going to be different, of course. Everybody's personal financial situation is different. There are a tightening up of certain loans. Certain lenders are not able to use certain loans anymore. So if you have a specific question, what do I do if I'm a VA buyer? What do I do if I am an FHA buyer? I've been hearing all sorts of scary things about government-backed loans. Ask us those specific questions and we are happy to help get you the right answer based on your situation. Construction to perm loans can be hard to come by right now. So if you're looking at vacant land, how do you go forward and proceed with that and still be able to find and build the lot of your, home of your dreams on the lot of your choosing? So everything is different, but that's a really great question, Tyree. So let me see here. Some of the questions that have come in also, what's up with pricing? Okay, so pricing. Gosh, I really wish I could show you guys some of these charts, and I apologize very, very much that I can't do that for pricing. So right now we are pricing homes based on the comps that are available. And until the comps show that pricing has dramatically changed, we will continue to price homes that way. So I talked a little bit earlier about, there are less buyers out looking, but there are also less homes on the market. And we still have an undersupply of homes that we can't find properties for certain buyers. So that is something that definitely, supply and demand impacts pricing. So as with any market in the industry, we know that if your home is priced appropriately and it is in great condition, we can get your home sold. So pricing right now is stable. So prior to going into this, pricing was sitting at about 98% of list price. People were getting offers and going under contract about 98%. And we're still seeing that, at least for right now. That could change. Obviously, we take a look at data. It's on a rolling time scale. So as long as we do that, then we'll be able to get you the most accurate pricing for your property in the neighborhood that you live in, based on what the current market conditions are. Let's see. Scott has asked a question. Are buyers able to view the houses they want to see right now? For the most part, we are able to accommodate showings for all of those properties. So there are a variety of ways that we can show properties to buyers. It might be virtually. Some sellers might be opening up their home for showings, and we have the safety protocols that I referred to earlier in order to safely view homes. There are a lot of great virtual resources that we use with our listings here on Welch Team. So yes, for the most part, we can get you into, and even if it's virtually, into the properties that are actively listed on the MLS. And of course, we want to be respectful and follow the instructions of the homeowners that do have their home open and available to see, as well as the agents that are helping them list their property. So some of those properties have different protocols, but if you see something that you'd like to see, definitely reach out and we will do everything we can to safely show you that home. Let's see, another question. What have we been seeing from lenders regarding pre-approvals? So basically, March and April, we had a lot of buyers on the market looking for homes that were looking and were approved for their loan prior to, let's say, mid-March, just as an easy timeline. So a lot of those buyers that were out there looking to transact, already had their pre-approval in place and had already locked their rate in prior to going in, prior to the stay-at-home orders. So a lot of what we see in March and April, those are buyers that have been pre-approved prior. So if you are out there and you are trying to get pre-approved right now, it is absolutely important that one of the very first things you do when you start your home search process is going and getting a pre-approval letter based on current lending requirements. Lending requirements can be variable, and they are very lender specific right now as well for certain types of loans. So if you are thinking about taking a look at properties, now more than ever, we need to go about this the right way. We need to make sure that we connect you to a lender, get you pre-approved, understand, where your credit score is at today, understand where your debt to income ratio is at today, understand, what are the ramifications of the current marketplace and how that may impact your job outlook for the future as well. But it's still happening. This is a positive thing. It is not all doom and gloom over here. We are very excited that there are people, people have had some time on their hands to really evaluate what's important to them in their next home. And how do we best go about getting you into that home? And as we just talked about, there's very low inventory. So if you are one of those people who does want to buy or sell right now, let's get you pre-approved. Let's get you ready to go so that you can start to see those homes as they become available for showings, or the ones that are currently listed. This is not as fun without a co-host. So for those of you that are just joining us, welcome. You get me today. I'm Kelly DeLucia. I'm our lead listing agent at Welch Team, and we have had some technical issues, so I apologize that I don't get to show you any of my fancy graphs that we had prepared for you. So do we have any other questions right now and from our viewers? If not, I will happily share some other local info with you guys. Okay. All right. So some of the interesting information from Florida. So state of Florida, we talk about, a lot of people talk about what's happening with loans not being paid. So are people paying their mortgage? What does the forbearance look like? The forbearance rate look like? What's going to happen if I don't pay my mortgage? These are all questions that you guys, I can't stress this enough. You need to talk to your specific lender about if you're currently in a home and you are thinking about not making a mortgage payment. Please make sure you reach out to your lender and you understand, how that may impact you in the future. So, a term that's been thrown out there a lot is forbearance. And forbearance is one step away from what's called, being, the lender gives you forbearance on your loan, and then that forbearance time period ends. Depending on that timeline, the lender could start a pre-foreclosure process. So traditionally, forbearance would be what happens before pre-foreclosure would start taking place. So if you do have those questions, and I don't mean this to scare you at all, I just want to make sure that everybody is educated on what that means. So back to what I was sharing, what's happening right now with those mortgage payments, what's happening right now with renters who are not able to make those rent payments? Have investors or landlords been impacted by non-paying tenants or tenants who have asked to put their payments on hold for a little bit? So state of Florida, prior to COVID, we were at 93%. So 93% of payments were being made on a regular basis. Since the start of COVID, we're at 89%. So I think that's an interesting stat to share. A lot of us may have assumed that prior to COVID, everything was great and wonderful, and 100% of tenants were paying their rent on time and paying all of their rent. But that's actually not the case. 93%, versus 89%, which is where we're at right now. Certainly that is impacting people out there, but I don't think it's as large of a gap as what we might all think if we just listen to some of the scary news that's being filtered around out there. Let's see. Got a question. What is considered a good credit score to qualify for a mortgage? Excellent question, Dow or Sam. I'm not sure which one you go by, so I apologize if I got your name wrong. But so he has asked again, what's a good credit score to qualify for a mortgage? So again, a very lender-specific question. Prior to all of this, we were looking at, lending. If you had around a 640 credit score for most lenders, that was going to be enough to qualify you for a mortgage. We had other lenders that were working below that credit score. And we have heard, since COVID, there are some that are at least going to have to be 700 to qualify for a mortgage. So, that's, again, going back to a very individual lender and individual person specific scenario based on what type of loan you are looking to qualify for. But those are some of the generalities of it. But really great question. Anybody else with a question that is just burning and they just can't wait for me to answer? Right, I'll give you guys a couple more stats and then I'll sign off for the day. And then hopefully next week, our Zoom will be working better and we can sync everything back to Facebook properly. And you'll get to see not just my face, but some of our other Welch Team agents as co-hosts as well. And we'll get to share with you all of our stats and share our screen, which we're not able to do right now. So I apologize again. But really, unemployment. So one last thing I'll leave you with that I personally found positive coming out of the state of Florida was, projected earlier, we were going to be at about a 30% unemployment rate. Right now, we're probably between 16 to 18%, which 16 to 18%, I'm not saying that's great. We certainly don't want that at all. We were sitting at, but 16 to 18%, we don't want that, but that is better than the projections of up to 30%. So overall, yes, to summarize what's going on with our local market summary, we did have a slowdown as to be expected, and we can contribute that slowdown due to COVID-related concerns. However, we are starting to see a rebound here. We have facilitated many transactions since stay-at-home orders started. We are still showing property. We are still listing property that's been active throughout Northeast Florida, not just Welch Team, but other agents, brokers in the area. There is business happening, and it is being done safely for everybody involved. So if you guys have any extra questions, if there's something that you want to ask privately, send us a message. You can always go on our website, welchteam.com, and there's a chat box on there too that you can ask questions on. DM us on Facebook, shoot us an email. Again, my name's Kelly DeLucia. I am one of our listing agents here on the team, and I'm very happy to have been able to share with you guys a little bit today. And again, next time we will work out whatever technology issues are happening. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.